We've done it. We've officially reached peak. Teen Titans Season 4 is not only the best season of the Teen Titans series, but quite possibly the greatest season in television history. The overarching story is the best story this series has. The stakes are much higher, it's much darker, and the non-story driven episodes surrounding them are so good and fun. This season alone makes me consider this show as my favorite show of all time. It's that phenomenal. The comedy in this season is on another level too. Usually I just have a little grin on my face when there is a joke, but there are a few jokes in this season I actually audibly laughed at. Not saying I was dying and screaming of laughter, but it was still an audible chuckle I let out. The action and fights in this season are incredible and memorable, and the non-storyline episodes have so much personality and are so iconic. So enough stalling, let's just jump right into it.
Dude, this is television. The good guys always win, and you are so not the good guys.
Episode 257 to 494, or Don't Touch That Dial, is such a great episode to start a season with. Seeing them hop around different channels and interact with all these different environments and characters is such a fun idea. This episode and the episode Fear itself are the Control Freak episodes, and they are both top tier episodes. So part of me thinks that I like Control Freak, but at the same time, he is also a bit annoying. I think maybe I like Control Freak's ability and what he creates with his remote, but don't actually like him himself. While the Titans are on the way to go stop Control Freak, I couldn't help but notice that Raven is lazy as shit. She got powers that allow her to fly, just like Starfire and Beast Boy are doing, but decided to carpool with Cyborg. Actually crazy. Now to get into the actual parts of the episode I wanted to talk about, how do live action shows work with this whole being in the TV thing? Obviously for animated shows or movies it works, but for live action shows like the game show and the news channel, aren't they just still in the real world? Can't they just walk off set and not be trapped anymore? Also, it appears they're still trapped in the TV world at the end, since Cyborg has his little soap opera girlfriend and there was a laugh track.
I am ready to train with you, true master. I believe you are.
Before I get into this episode, I want to bring up that the episodes are in different orders from the DVD release compared to when they aired. Usually it goes episode 257 to 494, The Quest, Birthmark, then Cyborg the Barbarians, but for some reason on the DVD release, Cyborg the Barbarians and The Quest are switched. I'm not sure why this is, and usually I follow the DVD episode list as the correct order since that's how it was for season 1, but it matters much less here since moving those two episodes around changes virtually nothing in the story. The Quest is one of my favorites. Robin's journey is cool to watch, and then the part I love even more is when it cuts back to the Titans and they're all just running around dressed up as Robin pretending to be him. Seeing all the other Titans in that Robin outfit is so fun, and seeing Robin's reaction to it at the end is such a great way to end the episode. I would like to ask though, how long was Robin gone for? He made it seem like he'd be gone for a while, especially considering he said where he wanted to go was on the other side of the world, but the show makes it look like it all happened in one day. If Robin did have to go across the world to get there, then wouldn't it take him at least one day to get there at least? Then he spends the whole day there looking for the true master and climbing the mountaintop, and then he'd have to train with the true master and then travel back home. This is at least a 3 to 5 day trip, so that means that the Titans back at home either waited to the last day he was gone to dress up or just kept his outfit on the whole week basically. Also, this episode feels very Kung Fu Panda, just with the martial arts animals and Robin having to climb to the top of the mountain to see the master, kind of like Po climbing the stairs.
We'll be in touch. Oh, and happy birthday.
Birthmark is our start to this season's banger of a storyline. It follows Raven as she desperately watches the clock waiting for the day to end, since her birthday is supposed to bring about the end of the world. This episode also officially brings back Slade. Slade is so cool in this episode, with his new fire abilities granted to him by Trigon, and the fight with him and the Titans is amazing. I love seeing the Titans' reactions when they first see Slade as well. Makes him really feel like a menacing figure. Also, that scene where Raven stops time and Slade chases her around is so eerie and brings almost a horror aspect to it. It's so sick.
The future says hi.
This is another one of those episodes I didn't really care much for when I was younger, but upon revisit I think it's very good. They give Cyborg some banger episodes. Seeing Cyborg out of his element by being in a primitive time while being so advanced, yet almost feeling like he belongs is a nice theme. The only gripe I have with this one is, I find it very hard to believe that the Barbarians were able to defeat Crawl without Cyborg, given how they were struggling with the regular green aliens, while Cyborg was literally blasting through them. But then Cyborg struggles with Crawl. It's a nice feel-good way to end the episode seeing them victorious, but seeing how the fight was going and the position they were in, especially Sarasum, it's very hard to believe they beat him, or at least she survived.
Admit to my greatness, and I might just spare your pathetic... what is this?
Lunch.
Employee of the Month, I would say, is a weaker episode to the series, though I would put it on the higher end of the weak episodes in my opinion. because there are some great things about it, but it still lacks a bit. I mean, the villain of this episode is Alien Tofu. I have a sort of bias when it comes to this episode though, because I have the PS2 Teen Titan video game, and Beast Boy has 2 different skins from the different jobs he has from this episode in the game, so I just like seeing those in the show. So this is most likely why I have it on the higher end of the week episodes. Also, Bob says to Beast Boy he really shouldn't be in the back. But what do you mean? Why not? The door says employees only and he is an employee. Plus you never mentioned to him that he wasn't allowed back there, so as far as I'm concerned he should be able to go back there.
There is nothing you could have done. There will always be people who say mean words because you are different, and sometimes their minds cannot be changed. But there are many more people who do not judge others based on how they look or where they are from. Those are the people whose words truly matter.
This episode is one of those Hall of Fame episodes. Everyone knows and talks about this episode, for good reason too. The social commentary in this episode I feel is done so well. It's done so well, I almost feel uncomfortable saying the name of the episode. I have too much respect for Starfire to say Troq. I will say though, why are the Titans glazing Valior so hard? Nothing he has done or is doing is that impressive, especially when they live in a world with Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman.
Did he just take down that ship with his bare hands?
Yeah, sure. So can Starfire, Cyborg, and Beast Boy. Like, literal members of your team can do that and can do things way more impressive. Why are we so starstruck by this guy? I get they were trying to show a guy that seems so awesome and heroic end up being a piece of shit all along, but nothing they were showing him do was anything better than we've already seen before from the team that was supposed to be so impressed by him. I do think it was clever for them to add the part where he starts giving the other Titans nicknames to try and hide the fact he's calling Starfire something terrible, but the nicknames need some work. Spike, while being generic, is fine for Robin, and Sunshine is a funny one to give to Raven, but Metal Butt? Champ? Those are so uninspired, boring, and lazy. Like, if you're gonna try to hide your racism this way, at least get more creative with it. Also, I don't know if it's just hindsight and me knowing what I know about Valior, but I mean, come on, he just looks racist.
You must be one of the good ones.
Are you serious right now, bro?
Nothing could be done. The promise of your birth was absolute.
The Prophecy is the next episode that deals with the main storyline, and while it has great action and is a great episode, it feels mostly like an interim and serves more as a setup for the finale to do its thing. It's a lot of just the team finding stuff out about the Prophecy and such. We do get to see Raven's old home, Azarath, and get to see her mom. And after seeing her mom, I just can't help but think, how does one even make a child with Trigon?
Oh, your poor wife.
Cyborg? Beast Boy? Raven! Starfire!
Stranded is an episode I feel is heavily underrated. You get a bunch of Robin and Starfire content, and then every once in a while it cuts back to Cyborg and Beast Boy trying to find the missing parts of Cyborg and rebuild them, and it's probably some of the funniest moments of the entire show. There was a severe lack of Raven, but it's fine since the main storyline is giving you all the Raven you could ever need. Speaking of the Starfire and Robin parts, where did Starfire get that bow and arrow? I know she was using it because, even though not revealed to us yet, her powers weren't working, and they were probably having her save Robin with a bow and arrow to hint at that, but like, where did she get it?
Time to take life to the maximum.
Overdrive feels very similar to Crash to me. It's like the opposite. Instead of a virus in Cyborg's systems hurting him, it's a new chip powering him up. I do like this one more than Crash for a few reasons. We get to see Adonis get his ass kicked again, which is always enjoyable, and that ending fight scene against Billy Numerous is so entertaining. It's also cool that you only see one of the Titans attacking the Billies, and the rest are just running around distracting and dodging Billy, since the Titans' clones are just holograms and can't actually touch Billy.
We love you, Mother Mae-Eye.
I know, sweeties. Mother loves you too.
Okay, so remember how I said the non-story driven episodes are good and fun? This is an exception. This episode is the closest I've ever come to not liking an episode from this show. There are parts of it I do still like, but overall this episode is just kind of boring. Rewatching this episode, I found it hard to not just want to pull out my phone and look away to do something else while it was happening, thinking to myself, how much longer does this have? This could be for a few reasons. One, I'm not the biggest Mother Mae-Eye fan. I'll cover why a little later, but also it precedes the spectacular spectacular 3-part finale, which maybe makes me want to just be done with it so I can watch the finale instead. Still, I wouldn't say I hate or dislike it. I'd still come back to this one every once in a while, but it's definitely my least favorite episode from the series, which sucks that it's part of my favorite season, and you would think it would pull the season down in the rankings for me, but the rest of the episodes carry so hard that it doesn't matter.
It's a beautiful day for the end of the world.
The beginning of the end. I love the scenes with Raven trying to give the Titans a good day and the Titans' reactions to it. I also love seeing the plan they created to keep Raven safe, but I do have to ask, why did she choose to open the portal at the end? She knows Trigon can't make it there without her opening it, and sure, she didn't want to watch her friends constantly fight against Slade and his army just to keep her safe, but why not try to fight alongside them first? With her help, they could stand much more of a chance. And also, you know you can't trust Trigon to not hurt your friends. She even tells Slade that Trigon isn't that kind of guy to keep his word. So opening the portal is only a way to get the Titans to stop fighting Slade and the Flame Army, which is much more manageable than Trigon. Also, did Cyborg just lift the fucking building?
Hope. That's the point. As long as we're still here, we still have a chance. And that's why we're going to keep fighting. For Raven.
This episode has such cool moments, like the Titans fighting their literal demons and the Slade and Robin team up. I love the trope of the villain and hero teaming up for a common goal, though I don't get Slade at all. When Slade showed up to the Titans, he tells them that what Trigon did is something not even he would wish on the world, but he knew the whole time that Trigon was bringing about the end of the world, so how is he surprised at what happened? Though he could have just been saying that to help persuade the Titans for their help.
Go ahead. Run crying home to mommy. Oh, that's right. You don't have a mommy.
Oh, damn.
I was protected by the monks of Azarath. I was raised by my friends. They are my family. This is my home, and you are not welcome here.
The big finale, the fight with the Titans and Slade versus Trigon, Raven nuking the field and the rising feeling of hope towards the end. The feel-good ending also hits so much harder and feels so much nicer too, considering how dark and hopeless the story arc was. Only thing I have to bring up about this one is, even though I love the Titans switching opponents when their evil versions were kicking their ass, and that causes them to win, but there is no way you can convince me that Beast Boy can beat Starfire, especially a Starfire that Starfire herself couldn't even beat. Also, I remember that fight lasting longer, so it was a shame to watch it end so quickly.
The Earth is mine!
When it comes to the newcomer villains in this season, a lot of them are pretty weak and really make you appreciate and miss villains like Mad Mod and Mumbo more. It's mostly fine and you hardly even notice, since the returning villains like Slade and Control Freak are great, and the season Big Bad is so terrifying that you hardly even notice the lackluster one-off villains. Also, this season almost feels unique in the way that the villains may be kinda mid, but the episodes are still so great that again you are given another reason why you don't really notice how mid they are. Usually in the past seasons, the villain being so cool or fun is what causes the episode to be good, and if the villain was lame or boring, the episode would reflect that. But here it doesn't happen. Our first newcomer is Kataro, and he's just basic martial arts rival kind of guy. He almost looks like his character wasn't even done being made. Like the bald head and uninspired basic design almost make it look like they were halfway through with designing him and just ran out of time, so they put him in as is. Nothing about him is special, and the plot mostly follows Robin's journey, so you barely even see him. Crawl is another dishonorable enemy. While Katara was trying to piggyback off of Robin's skill to make it to the top of the mountain, Crawl was using a witch to conjure up enemies for him to vanquish and look like a hero to his village. True egoism at its finest. Only thing he cares about is his image and looking like a strong warrior, and will even cause harm to his hometown and people to try and show it. I think Crawl is a fine villain, nothing too crazy about him. I do like when he becomes that huge alien thing, that was kinda cool. But my favorite part had to be the witch constantly fucking with him by twisting his words to make his wishes not something even close to what he wanted. I'm not gonna harp on this one for too long. He's alien tofu. He's a funny, goofy little guy who thinks he's scarier than he is. Plus, Cyborg eats him. Shrieker is just basic monster they have to fight, but is surprisingly resilient. This episode is about Robin and Starfire's relationship though, so he's not meant to be that elaborate or take up much time. Our first really fun and good newcomer, Billy Numerous. At least I think new. I don't recall seeing him in the past seasons. Billy Numerous is so funny for no reason. Like, the man is casually stealing a bridge simply because he can. With his duplication powers as well, if he wasn't such a dumbass goofball, he could have been the Titans' most troublesome opponent. Imagine a guy like like Slade or even Katara with that kind of ability. GG, the story ends right there. So Mother Mae-Eye. I hinted earlier that I'm not too fond of her, and I just think she's so lame, and her whole mind control pies is kinda stupid. She's the old trope of witch wanting to eat children or whatever. Like, if this was just the witch from Cyborg the Barbarian's episode, it would have been cooler, since her powers are more interesting and she's such a troll with her powers. Now the Hive 5 make their debut here, and we already know that Jinx, Gizmo, and Mammoth are goats, but what about the others? This episode, the other members are Seymour and Private Hive. Kid Wicked will get later. Seymour is a little goofy, but in a charming way. You could really tell he's just a kid having fun being bad. And Private Hive is just the Hive's Captain America. I don't mind him, and I also don't mind that he isn't a part of the team later. Now we got the big one, Trigon. Trigon is so cool, and even though Slade was menacing, Trigon is the first villain that is genuinely terrifying. A gigantic demon who is considered to be the strongest villain in the entire series. He was able to get a character like Slade to do his bidding, and saw his own daughter, Raven, as nothing more than a pathway to the human world and conquer not just Earth, but the entire universe. His treachery is so widely known, even Starfire heard of him back on our home planet Tamaran. Trigon looks so sick, and his huge stature makes him that much more scary. The Titans, even though trying their hardest, were nothing more than just little annoyances to him that hardly even warranted his attention. Also, him using the Titans tower as a throne goes dummy hard. The only way the Titans were even able to hurt him was 1, Raven protected them in the first place so they wouldn't be petrified along with everybody else. 2, Slade gave them the Ring of Azar to protect from his attacks. And 3, Slade was able to hurt him with one of his own minions' weapons. Nothing the Titans could do on their own was able to affect him, I guess except the Beast Boy becoming a whale in his ear. Even after all that though, they were still defeated in one blast. If it wasn't for Raven finally growing up and nuking the world with goodness and hope, nothing could have stopped him. This also leads me to say something you probably already knew, but Raven is just the strongest motherfucker on the team. That's 2 villains, Malchior and Trigon, that if it wasn't for her, they might not have been able to even beat them. That's my GOAT right there. Overall, this season is absolutely incredible, with such fun one-off episodes and an incredibly strong overarching story. While this season might have been too dark and scary for kids, and I've even seen speculation that this was one of the reasons the show ended up getting cancelled, it makes for the perfect season to come back to later and just truly appreciate how great this show was when it comes to narrative, characters, and trying new things. This will forever be my favorite season of Teen Titans, and will most likely be the reason why this show remains as my favorite show of all time. Now we'll move on to my top 5 episodes from this season. This season was so good, I found it genuinely so hard to put together this top 5 list. There were so many episodes I wanted to put. Regardless, my top 5 from this season is 5, Stranded, 4, The Quest, 3, The End Part 2, 2, Birthmark, and my favorite episode from season 4 is The End Part 3. There it is, 4 seasons in the bag. On to the final season, season 5, and then we hop into the movies. As we get closer and closer to finishing this series, it feels bittersweet, since completing this will feel really nice, but also a bit sad that I probably won't be able to really talk about the Titans again much, considering we'll most likely never get anything new from them. And if you're watching this video and for some reason haven't watched this show, or if it's been a long time since you've seen it, I implore you to at least watch this one again. You will not regret it. Even though this is my favorite season and I don't ever want to stop talking about it, this video must come to an end. So as always, don't forget to like, subscribe, leave your top 5 episodes from the season down below in the comments, and thanks for watching.